Hello everyone. Today we're going to discuss why we use functions. So, we've discussed a little bit about this in my previous video too. Mainly, we use functions because they provide reusability. Now, what does this word actually mean? Say you have some block of code that performs some subtask or some procedure in your program. Now let's say that you want to perform this subtask multiple times. Not only that, you want to perform this subtask multiple times, and each of those times you have different inputs to this subtask or this procedure. How would you do this? One way would be to rewrite this block of code again and again and manually change the inputs given to it, right? But not only is this time consuming and an inefficient way to write code, it can also create errors in your program. The solution to this is to use functions. So let's try to see how functions actually allow this reusability practically through a program. Okay, so we're here on programmers.com, which is an online Python compiler. So you can write your code and run it side by side on this website. Okay. Now, what I've done here is I wanted to write a message for one of my imaginary viewers called Julia, right? This message was, "Hello Julia, welcome to this new video. Hope it helps with your coding." So all I wanted to do was print this message onto the screen, and I've written the code for this here on line 4, right? Now let's say I want to write this exact same message for 3 of my other viewers, say Jack, John and Jenny. Okay, how would I do this? So let's say if I want to write it for Jack, I'll have to do a print hello Jack, welcome to this new video, hope it helps with your coding, right? And now if I run it, it'll write it for Julia and for Jack, right? But I also wanted to write it for John and Jenny. So I'll have to write this same message again and change the name to John. And then I'll have to write the same message again and change the name to Jenny, right? Obviously, this is really time consuming. I could also copy paste and just change the name, but doing so in a practical environment and not in this toy problem can introduce bugs or errors into your code. Not only that, if I keep copy pasting similar lines of code like this, my code base will become huge in size and it will have many more lines than it actually needs to. Okay, so the solution to this is to use functions. So all I need to do is create a function that will print this message to me. Okay, and what I'll give to the function as input is the name of the viewer for whom I want to print the message. So if we have a function like that, then all we need to do is make calls to the function with the name of the viewer, right? And each call will print the message for the viewer. So that's all that we have to do. Let's assume that this function is called message. Okay, so there is an imaginary function called message that takes input as the name of the viewer and then prints this message onto the screen for that viewer. Okay, if I imagine this, then all I have to do is make calls to the function message. So first I'll write message for Julia, then I can write message for Jack, then I can write message for John, and then I can write message for Jenny, right? This should print the 4 messages onto the screen, right? But we haven't coded up this function message yet, right? So let's code up this function message now, and get our program working. So let's write def message, and in these brackets we need an input variable, right, which will accept the data given to the function. So let's call that variable name. Okay, and now in the body of the function I'm going to define a new variable called content. So this is a string variable and it will hold the string that should be displayed. Okay, so what it will basically hold is hello, right? And then I'll concatenate the name here. So the name of the viewer, which is in the variable name, and then I'll concatenate the rest of the string. Welcome to this new video. Hope it helps with your coding, right? So that's what the content is, right? So this string on the right hand side is assigned to the variable content, right? Now all I need to do is print content, and it should print the message for the viewer whose name is given as input to this function, right? So now our code should work, right? Let's try to run this code. Great, it works perfectly, right? We can see that really easily by just making these 4 function calls and defining a function called message. We've been able to write the message for these 4 viewers, right? I can even write this message for other viewers if I want to. How many ever viewers? Let's say I have a new viewer called Harsh. Okay, so I can write the message for him too. And I can keep reusing this function again and again with different inputs. So this is what this reusability word means. This is the benefit of using functions. Okay, just for a revision about how we actually coded the function, it was pretty simple. All we did was wrote the function name here, and the input variable for the function was called name, okay, which is the viewer's name. Then inside the function we defined a variable that will be assigned the value of the string that we actually want to print onto the screen, right? So that string is given here, okay, and then we just print that string. That's it. This plus operator is actually a concatenation operator that joins 2 strings. So first I join hello to the string the viewer's name, and then I join that string to the rest of the message. That's how that works. Okay, that's it. So now that we've practically seen what reusability means, let's discuss the other benefits of functions. Functions allow you to write structured and modular code. This means that your code is much more organized and much less cluttered than if you would just keep copy pasting code and not use functions. Another important feature is that you can design a function once and then forget about it, but still keep using it again and again. Okay, what that means is that once you've written the body of a function and you've verified that this function does what it's meant to do, you don't need to keep thinking about the internal body of the function and what process it's actually doing on the input every time you're using this function. You can just consider the function as a black box and only think about the input that goes into the function and the output that it gives, because you don't need to think about the actual procedure it's doing inside the body anymore once you've verified that this function works. Okay. A lot of code editors, like the one that we have here, have this little arrow when you define functions, and if you click this, it just collapses the body of the function. It hides the body of the function, and this is what I'm trying to explain, that once you're sure that this function that you've written works for the inputs that you needed to work for, and it works correctly for those inputs, you don't need to worry about how it does work correctly or what is written exactly inside the body of the function anymore. You can just forget about the body of the function and keep calling this function again and again, and only think about the inputs and the outputs that you're getting from this function. So finally, one of the biggest benefits of functions is that it opens up a whole arena of algorithms based on recursion. What recursion actually is and how it works is a topic for another day, because it's pretty advanced. But just remember this, that without functions, we wouldn't really be able to write recursive algorithms or use recursion, which is really important in many algorithms today. Thank you for watching the video. And if you have any doubts about the video or about functions in general, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Functions are going to be really important as we move forward in programming, and you should be comfortable with them.